Have you ever felt that magical moment when a relationship starts getting deeper? Everything seems perfect, until suddenly it's not. They start taking longer to text back. Those deep conversations become surface-level small talk. And that closeness you were building, it feels like it's slipping away. You're not imagining things. There's actually a fascinating psychological reason behind why people pull away just when things are getting good. And in the next few minutes, you'll discover not only why this happens, but exactly what you can do when you notice these signs. So, if you're tired of watching promising relationships fade away, stick around. Because once you understand what's really going on in someone's mind when they pull away, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. Let's dive into one of the most fascinating parts of relationship psychology: your brain's fear response to emotional closeness. When someone starts getting closer to you emotionally, your brain can actually interpret this as a threat. It's similar to how your ancestors reacted to physical danger. That same fight-or-flight response kicks in. Your heart rate increases, stress hormones flood your system, and suddenly you're feeling an unexplainable urge to distance yourself. This reaction often traces back to your earliest relationships. Think about it. The way your parents or caregivers responded to your emotional needs literally wired your brain's attachment system. If you learned that being vulnerable led to rejection or disappointment, your brain developed a protective mechanism. Now, whenever someone gets too close, that old programming kicks in. But it's not just childhood. Every relationship leaves its mark. That time your ex betrayed your trust, your brain filed that away as evidence that openness equals pain. Now it's working overtime to protect you from experiencing that again, even if the person you're with today is completely different. Here's what's fascinating. This isn't just emotional. When someone starts pulling away, their body undergoes actual chemical changes. Cortisol levels spike, oxytocin drops, and their nervous system shifts into self-preservation mode. It's like their body is saying, "Warning, emotional intimacy detected. Engage defensive maneuvers." Understanding this biological dance helps explain why both you and your partner might feel the urge to pull away, even when everything seems perfect. It's not personal. It's your brain doing what it thinks will keep you safe. Here's what makes intimacy such a paradox. Humans are wired to crave deep connections, but we're equally programmed to protect ourselves from emotional harm. It's like having one foot on the gas and one on the brake in your relationships. Your self-protection mechanisms are clever, but sometimes self-defeating. Just when a relationship could provide the security you want, your brain activates defensive tactics. You might find yourself picking fights, creating distance, or finding flaws in your partner that weren't there before. Self-worth plays a huge role here. If you've internalized the belief that you don't deserve love or that it won't last, you might unconsciously push people away to prove yourself right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that feels safer than risking disappointment. For many people, emotional intimacy feels like handing someone a loaded gun pointed at their heart. The more someone knows you, the more power they have to hurt you. This vulnerability can feel overwhelming, especially if you've learned that people can't be trusted with your emotional safety. Control becomes the safety net. When relationships deepen, you might feel like you're losing control. This triggers a need to regain it by creating distance or setting up barriers. It's why some people become most distant precisely when they're falling hardest in love. This is why understanding yourself isn't just helpful, it's essential for breaking these patterns. Let's look at the key signs someone's pulling away emotionally, beyond just having a busy week. In their behavior, watch for sudden changes in enthusiasm. They might stop sharing personal stories or asking about your day. That person who used to light up around you, they now seem distracted or uncomfortable during conversations. Their communication shifts noticeably, messages become shorter, responses take longer, and conversations stay surface level. They might stop initiating contact or use more formal language. Pay attention if deep discussions are replaced with small talk. Physical distance often follows emotional withdrawal. They might stop seeking touch, position themselves farther away, or reduce eye contact. Those casual touches that used to happen naturally, they become rare or feel forced. Social media can reveal withdrawal patterns. Maybe they post regularly, but take hours to respond to your messages. They might interact less with your content or start posting more when they're spending less time with you. Here's how to tell normal space from defensive withdrawal. Healthy space is communicated openly and doesn't change the relationship's warmth. Defensive withdrawal comes with emotional coldness and unclear explanations. Someone taking healthy space stays connected emotionally. Someone withdrawing creates multiple layers of distance. Let's break these relationship patterns with actionable steps. First, identify your attachment style: secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. This shapes how you respond to intimacy. Take note of your triggers and reaction patterns in relationships. To create emotional safety, express appreciation regularly, respect boundaries consistently, acknowledge their feelings without judgment, share vulnerabilities gradually, follow through on commitments. Effective communication prevents withdrawal. Use "I feel" statements instead of accusations. Check in about comfort levels regularly. Address concerns early before they escalate. Set clear expectations about needs for space. Express gratitude for their openness. Build trust through small, consistent acts of reliability, respecting stated boundaries, being predictable with communication, following through on promises, acknowledging mistakes quickly, when to give space, if they communicate the need directly, after intense emotional discussions, when they're processing big life changes, if you notice overwhelmed signals, when to reach out, if withdrawal seems fear-based, when patterns become destructive, if communication completely stops, when safety or trust is at stake. You now have the tools to understand and transform relationship patterns that might have puzzled you for years. Just as we can rewire our brain's fear response in other areas, we can build healthier relationship patterns. Start small. Notice the signs early, communicate openly, and remember that both pulling away and the fear of abandonment come from the same place: wanting to protect ourselves from pain. The next time you feel that urge to withdraw or notice someone pulling away, you'll understand what's happening beneath the surface. And more importantly, you'll know exactly how to respond in a way that creates safety instead of distance. Remember, relationships don't have to be a cycle of closeness and withdrawal. With awareness and the right tools, you can build connections that grow stronger, not more distant, with intimacy.